Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 81 of Competitive Magic with the Karnies. I'm your host from Italy, Andrea Mengucci, and joining me today we have Javier Dominguez from Spain.
Hello everyone.
And that's it. It's just gonna be me and Javier today, and we have a special episode for you. It's gonna be full Pioneer Rakdos Vampires. We're gonna go kinda in and out, talking about the deck list that I have won my RCQ with. It was suggested to me by Javier last week. If you remember the podcast, I wanted to play a different deck. Javier convinced me to switch. I was able to source the cards, and it was very good. Lots of people have asked me for informations, and here we are. Me and Javier decided to make this episode. So again, I hope you enjoy, and I hope that we can help you to your journey to the RC. Javier, so last year you made a full deck guide with, a very, very good guide for Rakdos mid-range here for the Karnies. And I guess we're updating it with the vampires now.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole different deck, but it's same like core of cards. So let's see if we can make a good job. Hopefully it's useful for the people watching it or listening to it.
Yeah, so this is basically a mono black deck splashing for Bloodtithe Harvester and Fable, and what else? What else do you want to splash for, right?
Yeah, I mean that's all you need. Speaking of splashes, I do have some small concerns about the mana base.
Okay, so yes. All right, so once again, let's do the upkeep things first. So if you want to watch the content and want to watch the deck list under your eyes and, check out the Cyber Guide as me and Javier write it, you can follow us on YouTube. But, I'll be posting the Cyber Guide somewhere, I guess, in the YouTube description. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can check it out there. But yeah, so again, this will be free, but if you want to support, you can definitely subscribe to the patreon.com/Karnies. And so Javier, let's start. So you sent me this list. I made a few changes, but I didn't touch the mana base. What are your concerns about the mana base?
Well, my concern is I think this mana base is probably playing one too many, Blackcleave Cliffs as opposed as a fourth pathway. Like this detail actually slipped through. Like I'm pretty sure that should be a swap. Like you should play 4 pathways and 3 cliffs, just based on how bad the cliffs are, multiples, blah blah blah. You have to sometimes cast your 6 drops and such. So that's something I will feel somewhat strongly about. That's it actually. Like things like Sokenzan are definitely closer, but I will definitely make that swap. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah. So right now we have 14 red sources, which is one too many, right? I mean, not saying that you should play 13 mandatory, but according to Frank Carson, in order to cast Harvester, it's 13. But, that's fine. I mean, I had the classic issues of having Castle Locthwain in a deck with actually very few swamps. I had the issue of Hive being quite clunky on turn after the second one. Mutavault not being able to double spell sometimes. Although Mutavault were definitely the MVP of my deck, I would say. It was amazing.
I mean, all these problems you mentioned, they're like, they happen also in Black-Red. Sometimes like a normal mid-range deck, like just think of Castle as a land that will come into play tap, that sometimes will come into play and tap. Like that's probably the correct way of, phrasing it, I will say. And once you assume that, the cards are still fine. So yeah, I think you have to play those cards. Especially Takenuma, by the way, is particularly good in this deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I won a lot of games just hard casting Vein Rippers over and over, and the combo with Sorin came up sometimes. Of course, I comboed with Sorin, but like turn 5 Vein Ripper came up very often with Fable token.
Which is, I think it's a strong reason to not play the 4th cliff. Like I understand this deck needs to play some cliffs because you cannot have like a little bit worse of, like you cannot mulligan that much to the mana base that you can with other decks because of the combo. But yeah, I will definitely make that change. Cliff for pathway.
Okay, so let's make that change. Blackcleave Cliffs out and the 4th Blightstep Pathway in. Again, I wanted to repeat how strong were the Mutavaults for me. Like in my tournament, I beat 2 Niv Mizzet deck, And I remember I played one Magical Lane League only, and I beat Blue-Eye Control, and the Mutavaults were just outstanding there.
That is
So,
great, right?
yeah, definitely play this amount of Mutavault. I don't know how many Mutavaults play other people, but I remember when I won the PTQ with Vampires, I was not playing 4 Mutavault, maybe 3, I think.
I mean, it probably depends on the metagame. Like, if the metagame is very low on decks, like, as I said, like Neve or control decks, I will consider playing 3, but if as long as his decks are present, and I think Neve Mizzet is actually very present now with this metagame, I will absolutely play 4. I agree. Like, the card's just, like, obviously tough on the mana base, but it's just, like, a very good spell.
Okay, so one more change I made to your list, and that I think I want to do even more, is I added one Sheoldred Edict. Although I think this card may be even deserving a second slot and go up to a second copy, cutting Power Word Kill. Because I already cut one Go for the Throat, but I think I can also cut this other 2-mana spell removal and just play more Planeswalker removal spell. Since, my only loss in the tournament was to Quintorius, and I think one Sheoldred Edict in hand actually, it's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case. I mean, at the very least, I prefer to go for the Throat over Power Word Kill. But I think like that's not super strong anyway. But I think I agree. Like, as long as vampires are tier 1, I think the gap between Edict and the other removals is too large. And honestly, vampires is made in a way where you don't need like to care that much about like a lot of creatures from a lot of different decks. So it's good to have your removal count when you need to count. And also, like as I said, decks like Quintorius, where if you have one Sheoldred Edict, your matchup is probably actively good. So I think drawing this card just makes too much of a difference, and you're still like a Copter, Harvester, Fable deck, so you can just discard them if they're bad. So I think that's reasonable.
And that's another way you can kill a Vein Ripper without having to lose a creature. Like I had to kill a Vein Ripper with Bitter Triumph, sacrificing a Mutavault at some point in the tournament. So if I had the Edict, it would be much easier. So I like this Edict card a lot. Although Bitter Triumph, I think it's better than maybe the third Edict. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I'm thinking like maybe the Bitter Triumph number 2 is better than this Edict number 2, and the reason is Amalia, pretty much. Amalia is a matchup you have to respect quite a bit, and I think Sheoldred Edict is. I think the card's just very good in the mirror match, but I think the card's just too narrow, to be good against Amalia. And obviously, with the Triumph, also not great against Amalia. But if things go well, like this is the matchup where you're actually not gonna lose that many times to the the beatdowns or whatever, because you're playing vampires and you have like Sorins. So I think I would prefer the Bitter Triumph here.
Okay, let's continue. So the difference between your list and the other people list is Kalitas, Traitor of Geth in the 4-drop slots. Some people play Sheoldred, some people play Archfiend of Dross, and you and I played Kalitas. Now, Kalitas, of course, is a vampire, and the upside of just going Sorin -3 Kalitas on turn 3 is quite huge, and I believe that's the reason why you want it.
Well, it's one of the reasons, right? Like, I think Kalitas is clearly the worst 4-drop nowadays in power level compared to all the other options. But it's the only one that's vampire, and also it's the one that actually, like, tends to get better even if they have interaction. Like, a post-sideboard, like, if you have more interaction, it doesn't matter what they do, because you often can set up, like, Kalitas into removal or whatever. And I think that's very important, because, like, and also it's good against Amalia, by the way, which is a matchup identified as an issue for this deck. Overall, like, speaking of Amalia, like, it's one of the best decks right now, so I think having a card that's good against that deck specifically is very important. And I think Kalitas, even though it's not too powerful, I think it's well positioned in the metagame. Like, if the metagame changes again, well, then might try to, like, if the metagame is Lotus Field based, obviously Kalitas does absolutely nothing against that matchup. But I think nowadays Kalitas is well positioned, and as you said, like, I think it's important to make Sorin not like that relying on Vein Reaper. Like, if you go turn 2 creature interaction into Sorin that puts Kalitas in the battlefield, that's a big tempo swing for your opponent anyway. So they have to deal with Kalitas at that point.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. It's just Sorin minus, and I put Harvester or Dusk Legion Zealot into play, and it felt like playing a little bit of a Fable, where you advance board and you play a creature, and then the next turn Sorin plus on like a Mutavault, and like stuff like that adds up, and I I felt like having a lot of vampires was definitely nice. Although I ended up siding out Kalitas in every match except the final where I played against the Mire match. So it's not that it was I wouldn't say my win was because of Kalitas, but it is yeah, it is a nice thing to say, I guess. I haven't played against Amalia, but yeah, I'm sure it would have been good there, or against Mono Red, for example, where it's certainly better than Sheoldred.
Well, there's one thing though. We made the deck better against the matchups where Kalitas is good. Like Sheoldred's Edict, for example, is bad when Kalitas is great. Like if you play against Morat aggro, Edict is definitely not very good, right? But like Kalitas is just shines there, and the same as like Nif Miset or whatever, like where you might have like a worse deck now. But I think if you play another cards, yeah, like the Preacher or whatever, you're gonna be a little bit better. Exactly. But it's not like a bomb. It's not like Preacher is great against Nif Miset. It's just an okay card.
This is a card that is definitely missing from the deck that other people may look at our list and be like, where did you find this lot? Well, there's no Preacher of the Schism. This is the Lost of Ixalan Vampire, the 2/4 Death Touch, and of course that's not a card you can put into play with Sorin. Although, the reason why I like Preacher and why I like in this deck we play 3 Dusk Legion Zealot and 2 Copter is because, you already have 8 3-drop, and I guess you don't want to play more than that. And that's why you play 3 Dusk Legion Zealot and 2 Copters instead.
Yeah, it's also like, so my big issue with Preacher is that it's actually virtually never great. Like, Kalitas, which is a card it competes with at the end of the day, like, obviously it's sometimes very bad, but at least when Kalitas is good, you're going to feel like it's the best card ever. Sometimes you're going to be like, Kalitas, kill a creature, put a zombie, and then Kalitas completely dominates the board in the race or whatever. But Preacher is never like, oh, Preacher just won this game by itself. It's just like the ace. Like, it's just a filler consistently. And if I'm playing Copter, Fable, Harvester, I want my cards to be sometimes 10s and sometimes 0s. That's fine, because I can discard them when they're 0s. I don't want a card that's consistently a 4. So, I mean, I already have Zealot, which is kind of like a bit of that, but at least draws cards where Preacher is like often gonna be just dead or just not very impactful at all for a 3-drop. So I think Preacher is just like not powerful enough for Pioneer. That's my impression.
Yeah, I felt like Dusk Legion Zealot was definitely underpowered. That was not a card I was citing out a lot. Copter is very good against control, and again, a lot of the reasons why I won against control is the Mutavault, the Copter, just making so that opponent sweepers are dead, and and Dusk Legion sometimes you just go like Sorin, you start shooting Dusk Legions with Sorin, because you know that they will sweep eventually, and you just want to get in as much damage as you can, and then you have the Mutavaults to finish the job done. So, yeah, I feel like, and then again, like, these 7, the Dusk Legion, Zealot, Copter, and Kalitas were definitely the card you set out the most in the format, and that's good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the fillers of the deck, right? I think Zealot specifically maybe doesn't get that much worse in the post-sideboard against a lot of decks, but I fully expect Copter to be the card you sideboard out the most, because, I mean, it makes sense, right? It filters your deck, but if you sideboard good cards, you need less filtering, and that's fine. I think that doesn't mean Copter is bad. It just means like it's there to be the glue that ties this deck together. And I mean, you're never gonna sideboard out Thoughtseize pretty much, I will say, in this deck. I guess against Mono Red aggro or something, but like, you're never sideboarding out like Harvester, Fables, Reapers. Sorry, I mean, you can sideboard out some Sorins and some Reapers and some matchups, but it's like something quite narrow anyway. Like, I just think it's fine. Like in a deck like this, where some cards are just like 10s and the rest are fillers or whatever, it's fine to have fillers that just cycle through different cards.
Yeah, and especially with Bankbuster, which is a card that I ended up sideboarding in almost every matchup. You just cut Copter since you don't want to have too many stones that you pay too much and nothing really happens.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be, especially, I mean, if you play it against a lot of Tritian decks, that's obvious. But like, if you play against fast decks, that's not gonna be the case. But I think that's okay. Like, Bambuster's a card that gets better post cyber games, so I think it's very reasonable to have the deck built like this way.
Yeah, like against Phoenix, you just duress them or Thoughtseize them, take the card advantage engine, they land the Bankbuster, and their hand is just removal spells and 4 mana. 4 mana creatures, so eventually just draw cards and win the game that way.
So maybe we want to talk about Phoenix against Phoenix matchup. Is that maybe where we start?
Yeah, let's start talking about that matchup. So the way me and Javier kind of grew up in the same let's say way to build their deck, and the way I like to build my sideboard is to just start writing down matchups, seeing the cards I like, seeing the card I dislike, and kind of like build the sideboard this way, matchup by matchup. So maybe we can replicate that here. I guess we already start from the sideboard, but usually it's good to start from like a 20 cards pool and like slowly like build your sideboard this way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. My first concern I have here is we might be a little bit low on graveyard hate, I will say.
Well, so from your list, I actually added 2 extra graveyard hate pieces from the one you sent me. So here you can see, of course, on the screen, I have 2 Go Blank, 2 Unlicensed Errors.
Yeah.
I don't like Leyline of the Void. That's not a card I sideboard. So yeah, this is my graveyard hate pieces.
Do you think one more might be good enough? Like, I think the sideboard outs are kind of like, you're going to sideboard out Copter, and
Yeah,
you're going to sideboard Dusky Boy, for almost sure, right?
Yeah, so the sideboard is Copter, Dusky, and Kalitas, I think, are the worst cards of the deck.
Kalitas is not actually that bad. Like, Kalitas is not embarrassing, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a Lightning Rod for the Lightning X. It doesn't get hit by the impulses that much. And they actually play a lot of creatures per sideboard. And their game often ends up being a race. Like, they because they sideboard in, like, the Borrowers. Like, I'm actually not that convinced the rest is good against Phoenix per sideboard, for what it's worth. They have a lot of creatures. They have Borrowers, they have the Fairies, they have the Phoenixes, the Shredders, and they also put Kraken Drake. Like, the plan is to have Borrowers, Kraken Drakes, and the such. So the game often ends being like a race between your ground creatures and the flyers, and Kalitas actually decent there. So I'm not completely sure Kalitas is bad, and at the very least I will keep 1 most likely. It's just acceptable.
So, because right now we have 1 Duress main, 1 Duress side, and I was bringing the second copy in. You say that 1 is enough, or you say that you want 0?
I think 1 might be enough. It depends on the mapping. I also think Sheoldred is not great against Phoenix, because how awkward it is against the Fairy, the Prankster.
1-3.
I think this is unacceptable.
I ended up fatal pushing the 1-3 in my game.
That's not good, right? So I think Sheoldred is bad against Phoenix, so that's definitely a card I will cut. So I will not mind, like, at least I want to have 6 cards against Phoenix, and I will not mind having 7, but that's it, right? Like, definitely.
Yeah, so we have Bankbuster, Hers, Go Blank, that's 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think Duress might be better than the second Kalitas, so because you can just go Duress into Bankbuster or something, Duress, Hers. I guess it's fine, but depending on how they actually, like, if you think Kalitas, like, let's say they play Fables, right? So Duress is definitely better. But let's say they play, they play like 4 Kraken Drakes or whatever. Like, it depends. Like, if they have Pyromancers, for example, Kalitas is good against Pyromancer. Like, it really depends on what you see. I will default to, I guess, put the Duress, but just keep in mind Duress might not be very good.
Okay, so we still didn't the second Duress. Now, how about the mirror match? So in the mirror match, when I go to tournaments, I always write my own cyber guide beforehand. But one thing I thought was that Duress was bad, but then when I played the game 1, Duress was insane. So I actually cited in the second copy.
Yeah, it's good. Duress is definitely good. Like, Duress is a card you want to play. Like, this is not Black-Red mid-range mirror match where Duress will actually, like, not as bad. Like, remember, like, we concluded Thoughtseize was actually good-ish in Black-Red mirror matches. So Duress is definitely not that much worse. Obviously, it's worse, but here this works way more like as a combo matchup sometimes. And I think Duress is protects your combo and also just makes your opponent, like, miss on the Fables on the side. I think Duress is good, yeah. Clearly, I think.
Yeah, so the card I was citing out are Dusk, once again, Dusk, Legion, Zealot, and Copter, which felt like it's the worst card in general. So I was just always happy to cut them.
I think Dusky Boy is actually decent here, because Dusky is the only way you can actually kill the Reaper without losing a card. That's if you go Dusky Boy in the draw and they go to the combo and you play Bitter Doom, sacrifice Dusky Boy, that's fine. Like, I think that's, and it's also a body that attacks Sorins. And I think the card's fine. I will try to not cut the Dusky Boys here if it's possible, which I'm not sure it is.
Okay, a card that...
Final push is not great, is it?
You thought push is not great. Well, I mean, you still push the I don't know, Harvester on the draw, the Fable, or if they keep in Copter.
I'm saying, I mean,
Actually, another card that you have to push is the 6/6.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, the Archfiend, yeah.
Which is a card most people have 3 copies of.
No, that's true. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I guess this makes sense. Investigator, I'm not sold on how good it is because it's a push. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the Investigator was a card that we haven't talked about yet here. Hostile Investigator is a card that just overperformed for me in all the tournament because again I played against all these low decks, and I just didn't realize that you triggered this card as well, not just your opponent. So with the Blood token and the Fable, you also make a clue, and that made me just always go on top of my opponent who didn't have Investigator in the final, or against all the control decks. I was very happy with it in my post-cyber games, and I felt like with Bankbuster and Duress, it kind of fits the plan very well.
Yeah, it does.
Actually,
you become a little bit weak though to the Reaper. Maybe you can cut some Harvesters. Like I think Dusky Boy is better than Harvester in this mirror match. Like Harvester is never touching the Reaper. It's virtually like. I guess you need some for the Fables, but like if you're on the draw, I definitely prefer Harvester Zealot to Harvester, right? Like also Zealot draws to your combo. Maybe one Kalitas for Cure of Reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Kalitas is not great.
We cut Kalitas?
Kalitas is not great there. But none of the 4-drops are. I guess Hostile is the only 4-drop that's actually good because it's good against push. I think
it's good against removal. Yeah, exactly.
I will honestly, my first instinct is to cut 2 Harvesters, 1 Kalitas, and leave the 3 Dusky Boys. That's what I think your deck Cure is still good, and you become a bit better against the combo. Well, you have a decent game plan anyway. Like you have some Harvesters anyway for the Fables, but you don't like if you draw double Harvester and they just go like Sorin into in Reaper or whatever. Like that's not very good. So yeah, I like it that way.
Yeah, that's like in my game. After I duressed my opponent, I saw that go for the throat. I just discarded Kalitas to Fable on turn 4, and was very happy to just draw other cards. And the Investigator is another card that doesn't really die to removal. I mean, it does, but you get your 2 for 1, and that's all right.
Maybe it's better to play the second Kalitas over the third Harvester. Like Kalitas is probably the only card that can outpower Rain Reaper, right? Like if you play Kalitas, they play Rain Reaper, you might actually win just by raising. Like if you have a Mutavault, if you attack in the block, you actually trade even. Like it's the card that I think I will cut a Harvester and just put a 1 more Kalitas, I feel. Like it just can't do that. And you're playing 6 discard spells, so you actually will sometimes just go Duress the removal and just play Kalitas. And if it's bad, obviously you still have like the Fables, but I think it's gonna be good too often to cut it, I will say.
All right, let's move on with the next tier 1 deck, Amalia Combo. Now this is a matchup where of course you want to respect the fact that your opponent can combo, but you also have to like just be ready for the more grindy game that they can pick up with company and return to the ranks. So I wonder if we actually want a licensors to pick up the graveyard.
I think Go Blank is actually better. Like I do like Go Blank quite a bit against Amalia usually. I mean the bad cards are kind of like the Edict, Copter, and Dusky Boys. Those are kind of easy. I'm not sure if this is a matchup where you cut trim some of the combo pieces. I will not mind cutting 1 Vayne and 1 Sorin. I'm not sure if that's too much,
So one question I had about your list is why did you play Knight of the Dusk Shadow in combination with Path of Peril? That feels like a little bit of a nombo.
Well, if you have Knight of the Dusk Shadow, they can never beat you unless they kill the Knight. And if they kill the Knight, you play the Path of Peril. That's that Knight of the Dusk Shadow is their deck doesn't function. Like they just need to kill it or they just die.
Yeah, so but my problem with this, again, granted I didn't play the matchup, but like sometimes you have the Knight in play, so you just cannot play Path of Peril despite maybe they have a decent board state where they just top deck something that gets the Scarecrow Apparition you lose on the spot.
That is true, but how do you solve that issue though?
Well, if you had another Piece of Hate. Like some people play Quakebringer, for example.
The issue is that card is very expensive. Like Knight just beats their nuts. Like it's impossible for them to kill you in turn 2, right? Like they need to, kill you before that. And I think,
but it's not that this deck is a deck that dies on turn 3. Like you have so much interaction.
I think you die sometimes. Like I think the Knight of the Shadow is just better for that reason. Like you're also playing vampires. Like it's not like they can wait forever. Sometimes you're gonna go Knight and then into Sorin Reaper, right? Like it's not. Like I think the number is not that of an issue. Like I think most games you lose post-Cyber against Amalia is because you lose fast. Like you're playing Kalitas, Fable, Wind Reaper, Go Blank. Like you don't lose that much to a big board. Like you just lose because they just go turn 1 creature, turn 2 creature, turn 3 creature card, you die, whatever. I'm strongly sure that Knight is the best card you can play against Amalia. Like I don't think it's particularly close. I don't know about how many Path of Perils you want to play, but between Path of Peril and Knight, I prefer Knight.
Yeah, because your original list only had 2 Path of Peril, and it had 1 Grafdigger's Cage.
Yep, that's because of the Nombo. Because if you go Knight and Cage, they're pretty much dead. Like they're actually like they often have like 1 out to survive, and that's powerful.
Yeah, the reason why I added a 3rd Path of Peril is that I played against some Gruul aggro decks, and I felt like we had a lot of bad cards. Like we have Thoughtseize, now we have 2 Bits of Triumph, which maybe it's not that bad, but like it's not exciting to draw. You have just a lot of not great cards, and the sideboard didn't have enough, so I just wanted to have 1 more Path of Peril.
You're playing Sorin and Kalitas. Like I will expect Gruul aggro to be like oh no, I cannot beat vampires. Like you're literally playing a Sorin deck where Sorin just gives lifelink to all your deck. Like I mean, I just don't think that's a reason to cut card that locks Amalia. Like I don't think it justifies. You're still very good against those decks, and most of the games you lose will involve like being on the draw and they go like 1 drop, 2 drop, burn spell, or whatever. Like it might not even be enough to save you in the draw. Like I think the cut down I will definitely put here if I could. Like I think cut down is fine against Amalia, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
so we have 8 cards. 8 cards if you want to go blank. The Dusk Shadow, Path of Peril, 1 Cage, 1 cut down.
Yeah.
And cutting 6 bad cards, which are the 1 Sheoldred Edict, Dusk Legion, Zealot, Copter, so that's 6.
Duress.
2 more cards that we can cut are, yes, exactly, Duress. And maybe the last card can be, you mentioned Sorin Vein Reaper combo?
Maybe a Mutavault? Because it's a matchup where you're not going to use it much. Like they don't have interaction. No?
Okay, interesting. Taking the Mutavault as a spell, not just a land.
I mean, you're still playing 24 deck. It's not like, you're... I think that makes sense, isn't it? Doesn't it? Like, maybe it's too much. Let me think.
Maybe you don't want to go blank?
Maybe
1 is enough?
Yeah, maybe if you play the Grafdigger's Cage, that's fine. I mean, they're gonna play cards like Voice of Resurgence or whatever, but like that's okay. They just don't interact very well with you anyway. Yeah, I think cut go blank. I think maybe 1 go blank is only fine. It's fine. I think you want to.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But if I'm on the draw, I will probably cut Mutavault for a go blank. I'm just saying, only on the draw maybe, but depends on what you see.
Old Magic thing that go blank is good on the draw because your opponent has less cards.
Yep, and Mutavault is worse because you need less lands. So yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's continue with control decks. I'm gonna put blue-white control, but can also be blue-black. There are. So of course you're gonna have.
Asonif Mizzet kind of right. Like they all play the same, all reactive decks.
So my thing is that against Niv Mizzet, when I was playing, I actually only had 5 good cards in Hostile Investigator, Bankbuster, and Duress, and I was bringing in Go Blank, but it's not good against Niv Mizzet. And Fatal Push is actually more reasonable because they have Fable, which is you need to kill their token. Not you need, but like you want to kill their token. And also they have Omnath, which I guess I got lucky and pushed an Omnath, but this is a card that you might want to keep in Fatal Push for Niv Mizzet.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think you just got the Kalitas and 2 pushes, and 3 pushes or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. You have Kalitas and you have pushes. and you can side in the Hostile Investigator, Bankbuster, and again you have Duress slash Go Blank.
Yeah, and against actual control, I will put the Go Blanks, of course, but again, it's yeah. It just checks
the 7-card to side out against control. Maybe.
I think Bitter Triumph. I think Bitter Triumph is not very good anyway. I will expect
it depends. As always, just make sure to be flexible. Maybe against blue black, you won't have all the removal spell because they have maybe Sheoldred and Hostile Investigator and such. Against blue white, they may not have any creatures, so you're fine with just cutting a removal spell.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the other cards are pretty good. I mean, you could cut one Reaper maybe. I actually feel like I will cut one Reaper and leave one more removal. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you want. Yeah, I think Reaper is not that good anyway, and yeah.
Because blue white control exiles a lot as sweepers, whereas Niv Mizzet, I found it to be very good by Reaper. They never had creatures to sacrifice for the ward, and they have a lot of spot removals.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends on the details, but
I would keep it. But yeah, this is something I would do. And let's continue with Lotus Field, which is a deck that so when I was testing Lotus Field for the Pro Tour, I felt a terrible matchup against Rakdos midrange. Now obviously this isn't Rakdos midrange, but it is I don't want to say, as bad, but
it's very similar.
I'm still very happy to play against Lotus Field. I don't care about adding extra cards like Dumping Sphere and such. I think that.
Well, I mean, Lotus Field doesn't see that much play anymore. But I mean, we put Duress, we put Go Blank, we put Investigators. I mean,
Investigator, I don't know about.
I mean, it's better than Kalitas, right? Like Kalitas and Push are just wildly unplayable. So we just have to put 6 cards. So
I felt like a Licensors was always all right against.
It's all right, yeah. I mean, all right is a good way of putting it. I think Investigator is probably better, but maybe not.
I believe this is what I was doing. 2 Bankbuster, 1 Hearse, 1 Duress, 2 Go Blank for the classic 4 push to Kalitas.
Maybe Dusky Boy is just too bad. Like Dusky.
Still,
I don't know. I mean, is Dusky Boy better or worse than Investigator? They're both pretty bad. I think Investigator is better, but because you play enough discard spells that it just throws a card. I mean, I don't know. They also trigger with Port of the Pages.
Yeah, no,
I'm with Vizier. I don't know. I think you can get some random triggers there. I don't know if that matters at all, but it might matter in an on-settle game. It's like I just think Dusky Boy just sucks in this matchup. Like, you just want to play cards that matter.
Okay. It's just that I don't know. When I was playing the mono black deck, I actually played against Lotus Field a couple of times. The Investigator was
not good.
I guess it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited. Well, I'd rather just have a cantrip.
I'm not excited either, but I'm just saying, like, some games get grinding against Lotus because you go Duress, Thoughtseize, Go Blank, or whatever, and then you have nothing, and then this card's good. But I'm not sure. Like,
although this deck is quite threat heavy. Like, if you think about it, it's not like you have very few.
It's not really
almost
like you're gonna cut Kalitas, right? If you don't draw Fable, how are you gonna kill them before turn 20? You need to play the combo. I guess the combo is good, but
I just put counters on Dust Legion Zealot with Sorin.
Is that better than Investigator? My perception is based on what I saw with Black Red is like sometimes Lotus Field kills you just by 1 card, 1 mana, whatever. Like, it's often in 1 mana, 1 card, and I think Investigator actually is fine there.
Okay, but so I
don't like Hearse, Mango. I think Hearse is medium.
But like, you keep it in Copter, so that's why I didn't mind the Dusk Legion. I felt like this was a little bit of just a package. Like, if you cut Dusk Legion, you have really few bodies.
Then I suggest cutting Hearse for Investigator. I think Hearse is not good.
You don't like you like Hearse. It's just that
they're gonna put more creatures. Sure. They're gonna put creatures anyway, like some creatures. Like, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but
all right, I can put 1 Investigator. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know why I became all of a sudden a hater of that card.
Yeah, it was fast. 5 minutes ago, you were a big fan. But that said, I have not played
Yeah.
this specific matchup, but
Yeah, so
it's very marginal.
the various mono red, which sometimes are Gruul, sometimes are mono red. So
It should be easy.
yeah, it's always easy. I mean, you have the Path of Peril, and actually a card that I ended up sideboarding in. I don't know if you vote as well. Is Duress.
Well, it depends on the versions, but most likely, yeah. Like I just got Bitter Jump, and like I guess Dusky Boys, or even Dusky Boys bad. I guess they are.
I think I was cutting.
You put 2 Path of Peril, not 4. You are in 4.
I was cutting. I was cutting Thoughtseize, Bitter Triumph, and Copter. Actually, I was cutting Copter.
I do like Thoughtseize. I tend to like Thoughtseize. I could see cutting 1 Thoughtseize though.
Let's cut Copter and Triumph.
Yeah, but I think you can cut.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you can cut 1 Thoughtseize, but I don't think you have anything else to put, so I will not.
Yeah, I have put in the Knight of Dusk Legions, but
No, I think
Knight of
Thoughtseize is
Dusk
better. I think
Shadows.
Thoughtseize is better. Like Thoughteize can be locally very good. Like sometimes it's just great. I think this is good sideboard. Like this matchup should be good. Like your deck is just very well suited to present a huge life linker very often. Like just any turn 3 when Reaper hand just tends to destroy them.
Okay, a matchup that I'm actually curious what you do is Mono Black Waste Not.
Right,
So,
I know this one.
Oh, you know this one.
I know
Good.
this one.
So I was all right then. Just because I had problem in cutting cards because after cutting 4 Fatal Push, everything else felt good.
Well, the thing is, the removals are not very good though. The removals are just very medium. All the removals, like because
they still have.
They have like
Sheoldred.
2 or 3 Sheoldreds, 2 Investigators, right? Like that's not a lot, and they are also like not that good. Like their cards you can sometimes overpower, so I think removals are bad. I will leave 2 removals. Like I will cut 1 of the removals, but I will leave 2. I don't think you want more because you still also thought this deck.
The thing is that the removals, the one that we have right now, actually kill Liliana of the Veil, which is a problem.
Yeah, but I think you can leave 3. That's fine. But this push is shit, definitely.
So we have Push, Investigator, Bankbuster. So these 4 in and out are easy. And now it's just, do I want Duress? Do I want to add the second one? Do I want
So
Zero?
Duress is good. I will like to have Duress. And Investigator is good, obviously.
Yeah. So we bring in 5. What about Go Blank? Okay.
No, Go Blank.
What about Go
No, Go
Blank?
Blank is bad. I think the Go Blanks are also bad. Mind Rod is not a playable card.
Okay. I think I remember that I cut 1 copy of Sorin because like it's a card that just they don't kill it. It does nothing. It just sits in play.
I think Reaper is worse than Sorin, but I could be wrong.
I think Bane Reaper is worse, mostly because they discard your cards.
Yeah, and I think Sorin actually can pair with like Dusky Boy or whatever to actually become a threat.
And Mutavault.
Yeah, or Mutavault. Mutavolt's a little bit pressure by Field of Runes or whatever, but like... Yeah. And if you have another card in the sideboard, I would put the... I will cut another Sorin, but we don't have one, but we could have...
So you would cut 1 Sorin, 1 Ripper?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
And if you only have 5, you only cut Ripper.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the new mono green deck that is winning a lot in on Magic Online, Mono Green Devotion?
Well, I mean, that's kind of tricky, but it should be playing similar game to the mono green before, where this one actually races a little bit more because one of the base is creature, but also is a little bit less resilient to discard spells or whatever. I will definitely play Go Blank because it could be before, it's going to be good now. That's for me. Yeah.
What do you think about Grafdigger's Cage?
Sounds decent. One difference though is I think Duress will not be good now, or not great at the very least.
What do you think about Path of Peril?
I think it's bad. I mean, this only kills the elves, right? Like the thing is, your think is good against their think, but they can go over the top if you don't interact. So you have to make sure you interact often. This means you will have to mulligan quite a bit and such. Keep in mind though, Kalitas is an actual bomb here. Like a lot of the resilience is based on Troll and Cavalier. Kalitas just negates all of this.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen how Mono Green evolved, and it's actually winning quite a bit on Magic Online, is that they're playing Outcaster Trailblazer. That's the Kiora in the form of creature. And they're playing... oh wow, they're not playing Lila of the guild pact anymore.
No.
Interesting.
He's playing the old mono green, but with this guy instead of Karn, and in exchange he actually gets a sideboard. So that's
yeah, sideboard of 4 Obstinate Baloth, which is I guess a very flexible slot with mono red.
Yeah,
and mono black.
I mean it's a good card. It just destroys Waste Not. Like they just can't do anything. Yeah, hard hitting question is kind of terminate. They will put that against us as well, probably. Like the sideboard is actually decent for them.
And they can set it and pick your poison as well against us. It kills Fable, it kills Vein Ripper.
Yep, they will actually they will actually sideboard in bigger poison. Yeah, I mean they might improve better than we do because they also will put the sideboard forest. I'm pretty sure the forest is there, so you can sideboard out some elves, so you become better against Vital Push. Like they might get a little bit better than us post sideboard, but that's still a good matchup anyway. I think.
Yeah. What if we don't sideboard Grafdigger's Cage?
No, we definitely
and just hope.
We definitely do sideboard Grafdigger's Cage. I think. Like bigger poison is still going to be good against us because our main plan is to play Reaper. So the plan is to do rest the pick your poison and play the Reaper. So I think Cage is good. But we don't want to change our deck too much.
Do we side in the Bankbuster?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we just sideboard Go Blank and Cage for 2 Copters and 1 Dusky Boy probably. I'm gonna do rest. Like this is a bit tricky, but I think the rest is not great. But it might be better post sideboard because they will put the pick your poison. So probably I will leave the rest. It's 4, 12, 8. And maybe the rest is fine. They have Storm, they have Kiora, they have Oath of Nisa. On the play, the rest definitely good enough because it gets Oath of Nisa.
I mean, we can cut the classic 5, the 2 Copter and 3 Dusk Legion Zealot.
Yeah, but it's... I think I will leave 1 Dusky Boy here.
Can I cut down?
No, cut down only kills... only kills the elves. I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, it only kills the elves.
No, I think this is good. I think Go Blank, Cage, and the rest for 2 Dusky Boys to Copters. Yeah. I just believe, like... Cutting pure poison out of your opponent's hand is just too important to not have the rest. And if you think you cannot afford to miss, you can discard it to Fable sometimes. Like, I will discard the rest of Fable aggressively, but I still think it's worth than Dusky Boy, which doesn't do that much anyway.
Good, so we've done 9 matchups so far. Let's do a 10th one so that we can... Oh yeah, a deck that actually I've lost in my RCQ the first round was Quintorius Combo. Now... I actually ended up losing a game after game 2, after a deck Quintorius, and I killed it after the -3, so they like blank, but the game went on for a while. They just top decked the Trumpeting Carnosaur and just won with just clones. Yeah, I felt like a matchup where you can't really stop their top deck Carnosaur Quintorius unless you have these 3 removal spell. Doesn't seem like a great matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely not a good matchup, but also now this classic matchup where you make like small tweaks and games will often go from 0 to 100%. Like there will be often spots where you will have lost and you will now win the game because your Trump can actually kill with Quintorius. So I think the matchup is not great, but also not bad because your Thoughtseize deck, blah, blah, blah. Cyborg should be fairly straightforward. I mean, push is just embarrassing.
Yeah, pushing Kalitas is
Kalitas is bad.
Yeah,
and you're going to put the rest, you're going to put the Go Blanks, you're going to put the Investigator, I guess, and Bankbusters. I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely putting the Bankbuster because you need a creature to attack with.
Yeah, I think 1 Dusky Boy can go. Also,
yeah, I'd rather have Investigator than Dusk.
Yeah, I think Investigator gets in,
but not really because of the card discard, because I feel like discarding a card in the same way of Lotus Field and Niv Mizzet is not much about the discarding a card. It's more about the like you get a body.
It's both. Like, it's both though. Like
yeah, exactly.
Quintorius needs the land. Like it needs a lot of lands to play Carnosaur. They need 5 lands, like 6 lands. Sorry, that's a lot of lands. Sometimes they mulligan and you know. Go Blank or whatever, like it adds up. I think once you play Go Blank, Investigator gets better. Obviously, it's not at its best, but you know they also cycle a lot of lands.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I definitely had spots where I finished the game with a lot of clues that was just impossible to crack because you have to attack. Like actually, one of the difficult thing with this deck I found is how to use your mana, because you always have like a lot of mana, but like so much things to do that it wasn't easy.
No, it's definitely not easy. Like, I think this deck has a lot of decisions, but they're also, like, normal Magic decisions, if you know what I mean. Like, it's hard, but, like...
This deck felt, like, extremely strong. Like, you had the grindy games, difficult games, and etc. At the same time, you had those hands where you just go Sorin Ripper, and the game is just over that quickly. So you have, like, a combo mid-range deck Very, very good.
Yeah, I think this deck is good. Like, I mean, I think the team that brought it to the PT definitely did a good job on that.
Yeah, so far I was able to win 2 different tournaments with this deck without owning the Ripper and Sorin. So I guess it's time to buy them.
That's about to change.
Yeah, I'll buy them and then I won't play them at the RC. Easy.
That will be the classic Mango. Yeah.
I'll just play a random deck that does poorly. It's just classic. Yeah.
I mean, I think we went through the major matchups, didn't we?
Yeah, we went through the major matchup, and again, like if you've been listening to us, we're not just giving out the cyber guide, also like trying to say as much as possible how to navigate that matchup. So I think that once again, what are the difficult parts, how to navigate with this deck. So you want to curve out, and I feel like Dusk Legion Zealot and Smuggler's Copter over Preacher helps you a lot in that case, as in you go like 1-drop, 2-drop, 1-drop, or just turn 4 you go 3-drop, 1-drop. And I felt that this deck is an extremely cheap mana curve, and then you also have the late game with a Ripper, so that's why I really think it's a great deck, like very, very efficient deck.
I think this deck actually has quite a difficult point with the Fable. Like usually Fable is a bit easier because here, like most Fable decks are built in a way where they have like a straight plan, but here sometimes your plan is not that clearly defined between, well, I want to play Reaper for 6 mana, or do I actually want to discard Reaper to draw like interactive spells or just moral spells to double spell on a turn? You know what I mean? Like you play Fable, you interpret turn 4, Fable survives, and you have a Reaper in your hand. Do you discard it or not? That's actually a very hard question, because if you always discard it, you will miss a lot of opportunities, because let's keep in mind, like being Reaper for 5 on turn 5 is actually a good play. Like it's a strong play, right? And I think that's one of the biggest tough situations I think you can run into with this deck, other than the classics like, you know, Thoughtseize, when to Thoughteize, what do you take with Thoughteize and the such. But I think that's and also the race situation. Like this deck often ends in situations where you're losing the resource game, but you have to like top deck maybe Vampire to end, like do end games by super tiny margins, like the Sorin Lightning Helix mode, like Sorin deal damage to player kind of thing. And that's easy to miss, like sometimes, because you're playing these grinded decks, right? Like you're supposed to be grinding and just playing a long game because you have 6-ups, but sometimes you have to chump attack so you can sack your last creature to put your opponent on 6 and then kill them if you draw like a Mutavault or whatever, a 3, sorry, like put them in 3. Like this happens, and I mean, I don't know if you watch the finals of the PT or whatever, but like this also happened one of the games between Seth and Simon. Like the games were sometimes like they are sometimes just very tight on life points. Like sometimes they end like 5 life each or whatever. So you have to be very vigilant and just don't miss the opportunity to sneak or to steal a win in a game that you will eventually lose by grinding, by just becoming the aggro deck suddenly. And that might involve like chump attacking or just playing Mutavaults or just trying to sneak like a left touch lightning creature, you know, that kind of thing. And just count, sometimes you might need to top deck something, but make sure that if you do, you can actually steal a win. That's for me, at least on a surface level, the hardest part of this deck. That's not obvious, at least to like seasoned players.
Yeah, the chump attacking with Dusk Legion Zealot, super true when you have Reaper in play. Like that's a play that just attacking with 2/1/1s into a blocker doesn't seem ideal. It doesn't seem intuitive usually, but it is in this deck as you deal 3 damage and gain 2 life.
Yeah, exactly. And that life might give you one draw extra step, right? Like you might have one more turn to draw a top deck starting to win the game or something. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I actually mean, yeah.
Yeah, I beat Phoenix by gaining like I don't know how much life I gained that game, just because like Sorin kept on being like, I gain 3 here, I give life into my thing there. Vein Ripper, oh you kill it, well you have to sacrifice your thing, that's gonna drain 4. Because like every time they kill Vein Ripper, they have to sacrifice a creature and your Ripper dies. So that's 4 life drain that you do. So definitely keep all the triggers in mind. This deck is have to remember. Oh, a card that I was playing in the past that I don't have anymore here is Aklatzots. What do you think about it? Good against Phoenix, good against vampires?
I mean, it's good against Phoenix to some extent. It's a bit clunky. Like, I mean, Rakdos is good against the Black Mirror black mid-range decks and good slow matches. But I think the card is not powerful enough for Pioneer. Like, I think you will need this to be a vampire for it to be good, honestly. Like, it's a bat, but not a vampire, unfortunately. But I just don't think the power level is enough. I think Asa Claus is more like a standard card. I can see the card being good as a sideboard card. The issue with Asa Claus is when it's bad, it's just too bad, in my opinion. Even though as a lifelinker, it looks like it might always have a decent floor, but the reality is like aggro decks or decks like Amalia, whatever, they're just too powerful for this. Like, you're playing Asa Claus on the draw, even against aggro is not good enough. So, I think Asa Claus is like a pass to me. One more thing, by the way, I wanted to mention is Fable. Obviously, Fable is one of the hardest cards they have to play. They have printed in the last years or even ever, I will say. I don't know if you agree, but I think Fable is extremely hard to play overall. But here, specifically the Reflection does offer a bit more of an endgame engine because it obviously wins the game with Reaper, but also it has some interesting tricks with Kalitas where you can just copy creatures and then sacrifice to Kalitas to pump Kalitas. Like, there's a bit you can do with Fable, so you try to keep your eyes open for those interactions.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I've activated Fable ever last weekend, as often happens, but definitely a very, very good card, and I'm glad that Pioneers is still able to play with this card.
Draw step, Fable on my Investigator. Beam.
Yeah, I found that. Oh yes, that's true. I did that on Magical Line actually. You want to with Fable in this deck. Sometimes I remember with the Rakdos midrange, you already had like lands and spells. You just didn't activate Fable. But here, since you have a 2-card combo, I was going to be a little bit more greedy with my Fable discard. Like when I told you I discarded Kalitas in the mirror match on turn 4, it's because like with this deck you may afford to be a little bit more like, you know what, I'll actually discard this land and spells. That maybe in Rakdos midrange I would have done 0, whereas here I actually discard 2 cards. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Well, that's
because
true.
Of the combo.
That's true, but that's probably more true if you have one of the pieces of the combo list. But that's certainly true.
Like, yeah. Yes.
Because also, I mean, the power level of Format is higher, but also like if you discard Kalitas and you draw like 2 spells, even though they're not the combo, they're not as worse. Like, let's say you draw another Fable or a Dusky Boy, whatever, into something else. That's fine still. Like, you're not losing the game because Kalitas is not that unique. Unless it's unique in that board state, but then you don't discard it, of course. But if you do get the combo, like you have Sorin and you draw the Reaper, the game's pretty much over if you're playing a mirror match or whatever. So I think that's true. I mean, I was already pretty greedy with Fable on Black-Red midrange, but I think here I will be even more. Like, I will not be afraid to miss like my 4th land drop by discarding 2 lands, as long as that, maximizes the odds of just drawing the combo. Like, I think just missing the combo because you want to hit another land drop that might not impact the game as much anyway, I think that's probably a mistake. So definitely be greedy. If you can afford it, just discard cards.
Okay. All right, Javier. So I feel like we can, wrap up the Pioneer discussion. Will you consider coming to Lille for the regional championship?
It's on the table. I don't even know what it is, but let's say I will, play the PT first, and then we'll decide about my summer. That's my plan.
Yeah, it's not the summer though. It's gonna be November, so definitely have plenty of time. It's gonna be the 9-10 November.
Well, it's Half-Life in front before I can decide. So I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm gonna be next week. So I'm not. Yeah, I don't think I can tell you now.
Okay. But so yeah, this weekend, do you have anything cool planned? Do you plan on just testing MH3 the whole day?
Yeah, I think testing is gonna be what the mini for this weekend. I assume you're gonna be similar.
Yeah, I'll go to Parma to test in real life with True Hero, which is something I always love to do because I don't love the online testing, so I'd rather take a 3-hour train.
Yeah, I can see that.
Than play on the computer.
Yeah.
Then a few days after, I'm gonna go to Lisbon to do the paper testing. I'll have actually. So as we record today, it's Tuesday, and we have the new set coming out on Magical Line in a few hours. So tomorrow I'll be streaming with MH3 finally on Magical Line. I plan on doing usually I do 4 hours stream a day, but I plan on doing 6 hours for the next week. So three leagues.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that is but yeah, I'm so excited. I got a lot of decks to play here that I've been building these days in Modern. So this is something that I look forward to play on stream. They will all be on YouTube. I don't know if we'll be able to record a podcast episode again. So maybe we can just say goodbye to the listeners of the Karnies for a while. But if you've been listening to this episode for the first time, because you got here because of the catchy title of Cyber Guide for your RCQ, well, we're a competitive podcast talking about everything. So we'll definitely do the aftermath podcast episode with Javier and Anthony after the PT. Hopefully, some of us do well enough to do the top 8. Javier, last times you went extremely close, extremely close. X4 and X5.
Yeah,
Is that what you did?
Yeah, 9th and 10th. So I'm fully aiming for 11th this time.
Yeah, 9th and 10th in the last 2 Pro Tours.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for 11th. Just,
Yeah.
So we'll be here in two,
Yeah, you can go
2
11th.
weeks. In 2 weeks we'll be here back.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. You do 11th. I'll win the PTQ on Sunday. I'll sign up for that.
Let's make it a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening. And then again, we'll be back in 2 weeks most likely. Mango made it sound like we'll be away for 2 years, but it's gonna be only 2 weeks. We'll miss it, but
maybe 3.
3? No, it's 2.
3.
It's 2. I think it's gonna be.
Is it?
Yeah, it's next week. It's testing, and if it's testing PT, and then we'll be back in probably for the week after that. Yeah.
Well, 3. All right, whatever. Okay, sure. No, I mean, I like to let the listeners know that
like 2 weeks of break. Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, it's just that if you don't hear an episode forever, it'd be like, oh, where are they? Oh, we're here. It's just that not together, not the computer,
Playing the PT,
we're traveling,
playing the PT,
exactly, testing for the PT, and all in that. Thank you everybody for listening. Again, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to give back something, patreon.com/Karnies, and you can join the Patreon where we talk about every format and about Menguchi cuisine. That too.
Thanks for listening. Bye
Everybody. Bye.